following is a basic overview of the Jesco model N888CM AGC 10-to-1-S-LM constant flow rate material dispenser. Please refer to your operating instructions for a general description as well as safety precautions. Now we will cover the installation and setup of the equipment. First step is to locate the machine near the workstation, at which point you will locate the two supply pumps near the dispense meter, followed by installing a ball valve at the main air supply to the system. Leave the air turned off until instructed otherwise. Next step is to fill the hydraulic power unit with hydraulic oil that is compatible with Viton seals. The use of Viton compatible alternative fluids requires that hydraulic system be flushed with new fluid before use. Next, refer to the supply pump manuals, DH0840 UPE LFR, which is the resin pump, and PDB 0820-P-SS catalyst supply pump for their initial setup instructions. Then you will connect the material pump outlet hoses to the material inlets on the meter. Connect the material pump outlet hoses to the material inlets on the meter. The material hoses must be rated for the maximum pump outlet pressure. Be sure to dry cycle the pumps, raising the elevators to check hose movement and ensure the bends of the hoses are satisfactory. Next, you will connect the electrical power to the control panel. Then, turn the air supply on and set the meter air control regulator at 90 psi. The air supply for the material supply pump should remain off until instructed otherwise. Next, press the master start push button on the control panel to start the hydraulic power unit. Check the hydraulic pump for proper direction of rotation. Reverse the phases if necessary. Then you will maintain clean seal lubricant using DOP or equivalent in the oil cups on the resin flow valves, fluid reservoir for the meter piston, as well as the oil glands on the supply pumps with the oil provided. Since we are not preloading the pumps with material, we are going to simulate priming the entire system. First, you will prime the resin meter. Step 1 is to turn the hydraulic power unit off by pushing the master stop push button. Leave it off until instructed otherwise. Next, you will make sure that the shroud and disposable mixer are removed from the applicator gun. Please refer to the supply pump manuals before proceeding. Next, you will turn the resin supply on with the resin pump air motor regulator set at 55 to 60 psi. Before opening the outlet ball valve, open the bleeder on the supply pump foot valve until material flows air free. Next, you will place a waste container under the applicator valve. Then depress and hold the following valve operators on the meter air valve stack. Open applicator valve, open resin meter inlet valves, and open resin meter outlet valves, all simultaneously. Allow resin to flow from the applicator until the material is air-free, which will be approximately 2 gallons of resin required. It may be necessary to increase the setting of the resin pump air motor regulator if long material hoses are used. Next, open the bleeder valve on the meter resin inlet valve and allow a small amount of material to purge out any air trapped in the valve. Then close the bleeder valve. Then you will open the bleeder valve on the meter resin outlet valve. You press the following valve operator on the meter air valve stack, open resin inlet valve. Allow a small amount of material to purge any trapped air from the open bleeder, then close the bleeder valve. Next, you will open the bleeder valve on the resin meter below the resin outlet gauge. You press the following valve operator on the meter air valve stack, open resin inlet valve. Allow a small amount of material to purge any trapped air from the open bleeder, then close the bleeder valve. Please note when using the bleeders, you will be listening for air escaping, which will sound like high-pitched pops. The next step, we will be priming the catalyst meter. Again, please refer to the supply pump manual before proceeding. Next, you will turn the catalyst supply on with the catalyst pump air motor regulator set at 55 to 60 psi. Before opening the outlet ball valve, open bleeder on the supply pump foot valve until material flows air-free. Then close the bleeder. You press the following valve operators on the meter air valve stack: open catalyst meter inlet valve, open catalyst outlet valve, and applicator valve. Allow the catalyst to flow from the 1172 applicator until material flows air-free. To bleed the catalyst pressure gauge, open the bleeder valve near catalyst gauge. Then depress the manual valve operator on catalyst inlet valve and allow catalyst to flow from the catalyst outlet gauge until it is air-free, and then tighten the bleeder. Next, we will cover starting the system up. First step is to make sure the run shutdown selector switch is in run position. Next, the auto manual selector switch needs to be in manual. Please note auto mode is for future automated consideration only. Next, mixer installed selector switch needs to be in the no position. At this point, press the master start push button. Then press the manual refill push button. It may be necessary to remove the nightcap if installed at that time. Next step, press and hold the manual dispense push button or applicator trigger until material is flowing consistently at the applicator. At this point, install disposable mixer and shroud onto the 1172 front end. You will leave the mixer installed selector switch in the no position. Again, press and hold the manual dispense push button or applicator trigger until mixed material is flowing consistently out of the mixer. Then you will turn mixer installed selector switch to yes. At this point, the unit is ready to receive a maintained signal as needed. The mixer installed no selector switch ignores the catalyst pressure switch so the operator can prime the mixer. When in the yes position, all timers in the logic of the panel are initiated. The final step, once flow rate is required is established, record the dispense pressures at the catalyst and resin gauges, then observe and record, then adjust air pressures at the supply pump so when the unit goes into a refill, the refill pressures are similar to that of the dispense pressures. Next, we will cover the purge routine. After refill or a dispense signal, the dispenser must dispense approximately 13 grams within 2 minutes and 15 seconds. This is in order to refresh/purge the mixer. Ensure that the applicator is placed over a waste container. Example, once a dispense signal is dropped, release of the trigger or release of manual dispense push button on the front of the panel, the timer begins counting down. At 1 minute and 45 seconds, there will be an audible warning with an amber light from the beacon on top of the panel, at which time the operator needs to initiate a dispense within the next 30 seconds. If a dispense does not occur within the next 30 seconds, which is the 2 minute and 15 second mark, the machine will go into a refill. It will then hit the upper limit switch. The beacon will turn red and automatically purge for 31 seconds. The operator must ensure that the applicator is in a safe to purge location via the N5331 applicator stand assembly with the waste container located under the dispense tip. If left unattended, this timer sequence will repeat continuously. Note, purge routine occurs when mixer installed selector switch is in the yes position. Next, we will cover the unit shutdown procedure. All functions are controlled at the Jesco panel. The unit needs to be in manual mode and shutdown mode on the selector switches. Also, the mixer installed selector switch needs to be in the no position. Then, remove the disposable mixer and shroud from the N1172C applicator and make sure the applicator is in a safe to purge location. Then you will momentarily manual dispense at the panel or trigger on the applicator. Once the meter is at the bottom of the stroke, you will press master stop at the panel. This function allows for the meter to stay in the down position, keeping the material rod submerged, thus preventing curing of material on the resin rod. The lower limit switch is deactivated in shutdown mode. Then you will wipe the applicator tip clean and install the nightcap pre-packed with Vaseline. Please see system startup for the following morning. Please refer to the general maintenance notes located in the operating instructions in your system manual.